Hi everyone, I hope that you're well. I'm Corbin and this is Plant Basics. In today's episode, I am going to talk to you about how to care for the beautiful Calathea Network. So the Calathea Network, if you're not familiar with it, it has these beautiful shaped but patterned leaves. Yeah, it just looks absolutely amazing. It is in the Calathea family, which is now, I think, Juportia. It's an absolutely stunning plant, but like with all Calatheas, there are a few things that you have to get right in its care in order for it to remain a stunning plant. So let's get started. The first one is light. Over the years, I've changed my philosophy regarding Calatheas, where when I started out with Calatheas, I used to regard them as, a medium, bright, almost brightish, indirect light plant. Whereas now I regard them more towards a lower to medium light plant. And they're actually growing a lot better for me now. I think that this, it replicates the natural forest environment a lot better. Because if we think about it, they are forest floor plants. So in nature, they would grow in fairly diminished light with no direct sunlight really. So that's now what I'm trying to replicate in my home. And it ties into a few other things. So in like lower to medium light, it's also easier for me to keep the humidity around them a bit higher than in brighter light, which again helps to keep the arch and nemesis of the Calatheas at bay, which would be spider mites. If you choose a place for your Calathea, choose somewhere with medium to lower light. Still kind of close to a window, but not really. So this plant does not need the same light requirements as an anthurium, for example. Yeah, so medium to lower light. Obviously, keep it out of direct sunlight because direct sunlight can easily scorch the leaves. One of the biggest issues is, of course, that people allow their Calatheas to dry out. And in certain ones, like for example with the white fusion, if that plant dries out, it crisps. The same like Calathea sandriana, if it dries, it crisps. Also with ornata. So you want to keep them moist but not standing in any water. And once again, if we look at their natural habitat, so on the forest floor, like the soil will always be kind of damp, there'll be showers, but not in puddles of water. So that's something to really think about. So every time that you water your plant, always make sure that you empty out the cover pot or the drip tray. And that brings me to my next point, which is the water quality. I haven't found that the tap water I use affects my plant. I use normal tap water. It seems fine, like with all my other Calatheas. The only one I've noticed an issue with is Calathea white fusion, and that's why I use bottled water or the water from my dehumidifier for that plant. The frequency of water will obviously depend on your specific conditions. So, although they don't like heat in warmer temperatures, you are going to have to give more water than in colder temperatures. So something to think about. The next important thing, of course, for all Calatheas is humidity. So they are absolute humidity addicts. They just love humidity. So keep them in your kitchen, keep them in your bathroom, keep them anywhere where they will have additional humidity. I augment the humidity in my house also with humidifiers to help keep them happy. I remember Plantarina saying long ago that you shouldn't hiss your Calathea. I've also found that to be the case. I tend not to want to get the leaves wet constantly. I do occasionally shower my plants to get all the dust of the leaves, but that you shower them and then they dry off. Unlike if you're misting them continuously, and the leaves stay wet for a long period of time. So definitely increase the humidity somewhere above 60% should be a good level. The next thing we need to talk about is repotting. So I'm guilty of allowing my Calatheas to become really pot bound in the past. And so it's two things that kind of tie into each other. Okay, so if you have a plant that's really pot bound, it also tends to dry out a lot quicker, because there's not any free soil left in the pot, and it just dries out, and you can see that whole thing starts to happen where over some time your plant will eventually just die. So you want to probably repot your Calatheas once a year into a pot that's slightly bigger, one size up. Don't overpot, because if you overpot, you have the risk of having too much soil in the pot, which will hold on to too much moisture, which will lead to root rot. So incremental changes. The other thing is the soil that you use. So you want to use something loamy, that's well draining, not as well draining as a void or philodendron mix, but still nice and water retentive. I would actually personally prefer to use a plastic pot over a clay pot, only because with a clay pot you'll have the evaporation through the sides of the pot, which will cause your plant to dry out a lot quicker, which would be ideal with something like a philodendron or an anthurium or a Hoya, but can become troublesome with a plant like this. Now, the most important thing to speak about is pests. The number one pest I've had on Calatheas: spider mites. They just love them. So, spider mites, let me rephrase. So let's first talk about spider mites. So spider mites, you'll see them on the leaves like webby, webs between the parts of the leaves. You'll also see kind of like yellowing in little like patches as they attack the leaves. Spider mites love warm, dry, dark, dusty. Those are the four things that they love. So if you can keep your plant clean by showering it in the shower periodically to remove all dust, that's already a good start. Spider mites don't like humidity or moisture. So also, if you notice any spider mites on your plant, take your plant to the shower immediately and rinse it off, it will kill them off. But doing that once or twice is usually not enough. because spider mites have quite a quick, wait, let me get this right now. They have a quick reproductive cycle. So you can have adults and eggs, on the plant at the same time. So you need to do, any treatment that you do needs to be kind of like repetitive over a period of time to really get them off. If the natural methods like spraying your plant with water or showering it is not effective and you have a severe infestation, you can first start with cutting off any of the really badly affected leaves of your plant. And then you can apply something like neem oil. Now, I've heard it said that they become very resistant to pesticides that you use over time. So if you're going to use the chemical, if you're going to go the chemical route, make sure to change out the pesticides that you use to overcome to overcome the resistance. Pesting still is to use neem oil repetitively over a period of time. So if you can sidestep spider mites, Calatheas are great houseplants. They're not recommended for the beginner, but if you want to dip your toe into the pre-plant space, perhaps start with a Tinhanthe or a Stromhanthe, which is easier than the Calatheas. Also, the normal pre-plant, the Maranta, is also a bit easier. So yeah, you can kind of like graduate through the pre-plant family. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to ensure that you never miss any of my future videos. I will see you in the next video. Bye.